Alisa Louu, Ilia Molinan, and Amber Glenn. A trio of icons whose magic left 26,000-seat arenas frozen in pure wonder. Stars on Ice 2026 just wrapped its epic 26-city journey across the United States. If the thunderous roars in every single stadium told us anything, these three didn't just skate. They captured souls completely, and the echo of their blades is still the talk of every town. This is the magic that unfolds when the world's elite trade gold medals for the pure ecstasy of the rink. It was breathtaking. Let's start with Alisa Louu, because the very second she touched the ice, the atmosphere transformed. Honestly, this wasn't that televised version of Alisa Louu from the Olympics, the one carrying a nation's hopes under the cold glare of judges. This was the Milan 2026 champion herself, standing tall on that podium's ghost, finally skating without the shackles of technical scores or point systems. No pressure, no rigid rules, just her, pouring her heart out for the fans who came just to breathe her in. That liberation was infectious. Her movement possessed a haunting quality that forced every conversation and every breath to a standstill. It was the type of artistry that makes you grip your neighbor's hand tight, witnessing something so visceral it demands a witness. Louu reached out to those crowds with a spirit that eclipsed even her own legendary technical mastery. It felt deeply, beautifully personal, as if she were whispering a secret to every person in the stands. Every night, every city, she was met with a tidal wave of genuine love. Suddenly, the shadows stretched, the tempo shifted, and Ilia Molinan exploded onto the stage. To describe seeing Ilia Molinan live is like trying to capture lightning in a bottle. Words hardly do the reality justice. The moment his name echoed through the speakers, the very molecules in the arena seemed to vibrate differently. You could feel the adrenaline spike. Backs straightened. The roar of the crowd hit a fever pitch. Hundreds of phones mirrored the ice as people realized they were watching an athlete occupying a space in history that was previously empty. His third world title, secured in Prague just weeks before, had already cemented his status as a living legend. But on this 2026 tour, stripped of competitive limitations, Molinan moved like a man fulfilling his destiny, fueled by nothing but the sheer thrill of the glide. Each jump was a thunderclap. Every edge, every pause before the music's crescendo, the fans were locked into his every heartbeat. And that final explosion of applause? That kind of sound haunts a building, lingering in the rafters long after the skaters have vanished and the ice has frozen over. Long after the drive home, when fans struggled to articulate the impossible feats they had just seen, Molinan didn't just skate. He gifted the world moments that will be etched into their minds for a lifetime. Yet, the real revelation of Stars on Ice 2026 was something that resonated after every final bow. The soul of this tour wasn't a solo act. It was a family that visibly, vibrantly loved every second they shared. No one radiated that collective joy more than Amber Glenn, America's golden girl and a vital piece of that Milan Olympic winning squad alongside the greats like Louu and Molinan. Glenn arrived with a reputation for being the most soul-stirring skater in the nation. But what she showcased on this tour was on a completely different plane of existence. Her performance felt like a raw confession, a warm, honest exchange that made the audience feel like they were part of her story. She wasn't performing at you or checking boxes for a panel. She was reaching out, bridging the gap between the ice and the highest row of the arena. People felt that. Glenn became the name on everyone's lips across the country, as the sheer gratitude from the crowds proved just how deeply her art touched those seeing her brilliance in the flesh for the first time. She left them breathless and begging for more. That's the mark of a true performer, and Glenn mastered it. But beyond our leading trio, while Louu, Molinan, and Glenn were the anchors, the entire ensemble ensured 2026 was a non-stop thrill ride. Madison Chalk and Evan Bates, those Milan silver medalists, infused the tour with a level of poetic movement that exists in a world of its own. Seeing Chalk and Bates command an intimate stage without the cold pressure of judges was the ethereal dream their most loyal fans had been chasing. These were raw narrative exhibitions where the melody and the movement fused into one singular, haunting entity. That heavy silence during their sets spoke volumes, revealing a crowd completely mesmerized and deeply moved by the artistry unfolding right before their eyes. Isabeau Livido emerged as a breathtaking and truly unexpected treasure during this particular run of shows. A past global runner-up and American title holder, she projected an energy on this tour that was utterly hypnotic. She is the rare kind of skater who makes a packed stadium feel like a private room. Her routines carried such profound emotional weight that the spectators felt every beat, resulting in nightly roars that eclipsed nearly every other skater on the roster. Jason Brown, the heartbeat of the American ice scene for over a decade, poured his very spirit into this production. His art possesses a dramatic gravitas that feels undeniably sincere and completely stripped of any artifice. Brown and the production share a long history, which this year blossomed into evocative skates that left the public breathless. The adoration vibrating through the rafters for him was profound and absolutely impossible to ignore. Yet the highlight everyone whispered about, the factor making 2026 stand apart, was that electric surge when the entire company occupied the rink at once. Those massive, synchronized collective displays, the instances where every champion on the list moved in unison, creating a single wall of talent. What radiated from that ice wasn't just fancy footwork or high budgets, it was pure, unadulterated, and infectious happiness. These are legendary figures who have spent their entire careers locked in fierce battles for the top podium, world finals, Olympic showdowns, and elite international series. Now, united on this stage, they seem to be soaking in every second, their genuine bonds shining through in a way that felt entirely unscripted. The fans picked up on that magic, mirroring it back with a tidal wave of love and standing ovations. Seeing the world's greatest stars simply enjoying their craft together creates an incredibly moving spectacle. This tour delivered that spark across 26 different locations, starting in Fort Myers on April 16th before heading toward the southern heat of South Haven, Mississippi, on May 31st. Thousands of people watched dozens of sets, and one consistent thread tied every single evening together: the undeniable sense that we were witnessing something truly authentic on the ice. 40 years ago, Scott Hamilton launched this dream with one very basic but powerful concept. Let the audience see the elite icons glide without the stress of scores, in an atmosphere that feels intimate. By 2026, with gold medalists and global icons, national title holders, and the most famous dance duos ever, the roster was a staggering display of talent sharing the rink. Alisa Louu captivated the room, while Ilia Malinin's gravity-defying feats left the stadium in stunned silence. Amber Glenn commanded the spotlight, making every massive arena feel like her own personal theater. Alongside this incredible cast, the 2026 tour offered an experience that no television broadcast could ever replicate. You simply had to be there. And those present already know,